everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. So you're here because you want to learn something new today. Well, you've come to the right place because today we're diving deep, literally into setting up an LLC right here in Michigan.
Right.
We're going to walk you through it step by step using some of the best expert video guides out there so you can get your business up and running legally and effectively.
Exactly.
So think of this as your hands-on, actionable guide to LLC formation.
Absolutely. And LLCs are really gaining popularity in Michigan, and for good reason, right? They can offer some real advantages for business owners.
Oh, definitely. I mean, first off, you get that protection for your personal assets.
Huge peace of mind. That's right.
Yeah, huge peace of mind.
Yeah.
Nobody wants their personal stuff tangled up in their business liabilities, you know?
Absolutely.
An LLC can really help with that.
It's like that separation, that corporate veil that protects you.
And then there's the tax benefits.
Right. Potential for some tax savings there?
LLCs can sometimes avoid that double taxation you get with corporations through what's called pass-through taxation.
Right. So your business income gets taxed once on your personal return, not twice, at both the corporate and individual level. Can make a big difference.
And then there's the credibility factor, you know?
Well, yeah. Legitimacy.
Having an LLC just makes your business look more established, more professional.
Like you mean business. It's not just a hobby anymore.
Exactly.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to break it all down nice and easy.
All right, let's dive into the first crucial step, choosing the perfect name for your LLC.
The name game. This is where it all begins.
And you know, it might seem simple enough, but this is actually where a lot of people trip up.
Oh, yeah, it's more complicated than you might think.
You can't just pick any name you want.
Right. It has to be available and distinguishable from all those other businesses out there already registered in Michigan.
Exactly. And we're not just talking other LLCs here. It has to be different from corporations, limited partnerships, the whole 9 yards.
The good news is Michigan makes it pretty easy to check if a name's taken. They've got this free online search tool you can use. It's on the Michigan LRA website. That's the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. You can find it at either cs.l.mi.us or cs.la.state.mi.us, depending on which source you look at. Spend some time on that site. Try different versions of your name. Make sure it's truly unique.
And it's not just about whether someone else has the exact same name.
Right.
There are specific rules about what you can and cannot include in your LLC name. First off, it absolutely must have one of these designated endings.
Got to have that LLC identifier.
Limited liability company, limited co, or the abbreviations LLC or LC. Those are your only options.
Everything around that.
And then there's certain words that are off limits.
Restricted words. You can't use anything that implies you're something you're not.
Yeah, like a government agency, a bank, an insurance company, anything like that. Or businesses that require special licenses.
Right, unless you actually have those licenses, of course. Can't just throw bank in your name and call it a day.
Exactly. You also can't use terms that imply you're a different type of legal entity, so things like corp, inc., or nonprofit are out.
Those are for corporations and nonprofits, not LLCs.
All right, one quick tip here from the experts.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
Once you find a name that checks all the boxes, and it's available, even if you're not quite ready to launch a website, go ahead and grab that domain name.
Secure it. You'll thank yourself later.
Yeah, it's so much easier to do it up front than to try and wrestle it away from someone later down the road.
And believe me, it can get messy.
Okay, so name secured.
Next up, we've got to choose a resident agent. This one's a little less glamorous, but equally important.
Yeah, it's not as fun as brainstorming names, but it's a crucial part of the process.
So the resident agent is the person or entity that's officially designated to receive all the important legal and government documents for your LLC.
They're basically your LLC's point of contact with the state. And there are some specific requirements for who can be your resident agent.
Right. They've got to meet certain criteria.
Number one, they have to have a physical street address in Michigan. No P.O. boxes allowed.
Nope. It's got to be a real physical address.
And no mail forwarding services either.
They have to be their primary address.
The other option is that it can be a registered business entity, but they also have to be authorized to do business in Michigan.
So you've got a few options here when it comes to choosing your resident agent.
Yeah, you can actually be your own resident agent if you're a Michigan resident.
You're right, if you're comfortable with that.
You could appoint a trusted friend or family member as long as they meet the requirements.
Make sure they're reliable, though.
Definitely. Or you can go with a commercial registered agent service.
That's a popular option these days.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, especially if you're considering being your own resident agent or using someone you know personally,
Privacy.
yeah, the resident agent's name and address become public record.
So if you're running your business from home and you're concerned about privacy, that's something to think about.
That's where a commercial registered agent service might be a better fit.
Yeah, they can provide that layer of anonymity.
They usually charge a fee, something like $10 a month.
But it can be worth it for the peace of mind.
Plus, they take care of all the paperwork and make sure you don't miss any important deadlines.
The more missed filings.
And actually, one of our sources mentioned that Northwest, a registered agent service, sometimes offers a free first year through special promotions.
Oh, nice.
So it might be worth checking that out.
Definitely worth exploring.
Oh,
All right, so you've got your name, you've chosen your resident agent. Now comes the fun part, making it official.
time to file those articles of organization. This is what really brings your LLC to life.
We're talking legal entity status here.
You'll be filing these with LARA, the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs.
It's the big leagues now.
These articles of organization are like your LLC's birth certificate.
They lay out all the essential details about your business.
You'll need to include the official name of your LLC, of course.
The one you meticulously chose and made sure was available.
Exactly. You also need to describe the purpose of your business.
What your LLC is all about.
Now, a lot of businesses actually keep this pretty broad.
You can even leave it blank in some cases, just to keep your options open.
Yeah, one source even mentioned that, so don't feel like you have to be super specific here.
Keep it flexible.
Then you need to specify the duration of your LLC.
How long you plan for it to exist.
And unless you have a specific end date in mind, you'll typically choose perpetual, which basically means it goes on forever.
Unless you decide to dissolve it later on.
And of course, you'll provide the name and address of your resident agent.
That trusted individual or entity we talked about earlier.
Now, something important to know about LLCs in Michigan, unless you specifically state otherwise, they're assumed to be member managed.
That's the default setting.
Meaning all the owners, the members of the LLC, are actively involved in running the business.
Making decisions together.
If you want a different structure, like a manager-managed LLC, where some members are more like passive investors, you need to be very clear about that in your articles of organization.
Spell it out. Don't leave it to chance.
So how do you actually file these articles of organization?
You've got two options. The modern way and the traditional way.
Let's start with the modern way.
Online. It's generally the easiest and fastest way to file. You just head over to the Michigan LLC website. They have an online corporation filing system. Fill out the forms, pay the fee, you're good to go.
Pretty straightforward.
The traditional way is to download and complete Form 700. You can mail that to LARA, but honestly, online is so much easier.
Now, for businesses that were formed in another state but want to operate in Michigan, those are called foreign LLCs, right?
That's right. Different state, different rules.
They'll need to file a different form, Form 760.
It's specifically for foreign LLCs.
Okay, now, the fee for filing your articles of organization is $50, whether you're a domestic or foreign LLC.
$50 to make it official.
And if you're in a hurry, you can usually pay extra for expedited processing.
Get that LLC up and running ASAP.
Oh, and one more thing. If you're a veteran, you might be able to get the filing fee waived completely.
That's a great benefit for our veterans.
You'll need to get a veteran fee waiver request form and provide proof of your service.
Definitely worth looking into if you're a veteran.
Okay, so quick heads up. One of the sources mentioned a little website glitch they ran into.
Oh, technical difficulties.
Yeah, the direct link to the LLC forms on the michigan.gov website wasn't working.
Links can be fickle sometimes.
But they found a workaround. You just go to the Corporations Divisions link, and you can access all the forms and info from there.
So if you hit a snag, try that.
All right, so you filed your articles of organization. You're officially an LLC. What's next?
Next up, we need to get you an EI.
An EI, what's that?
It stands for Employer Identification Number. It's basically a social security number for your business.
Okay.
The IRS uses it to identify your business for tax purposes.
So do I need one?
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you plan on opening a business bank account or hiring employees. It's also essential for managing your federal and state taxes as a separate legal entity.
Sounds important. How do I get one?
Easy peasy. You can apply online through the IRS website, irs.gov. It's free and usually takes about 10 minutes.
Quick and painless.
You can also apply by mail or fax if you prefer, using Form SS4.
So you've got options.
Okay, step 5. This one's not technically required by Michigan law, but every single expert recommends it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's called an LLC operating agreement.
Operating agreement. What's that all about?
Think of it as a roadmap for your LLC, a contract between all the members of the LLC that outlines how everything will be run.
Like an internal rule book.
Exactly. It covers things like ownership structure, management responsibilities, how profits and losses will be shared, and how decisions will be made.
Sounds like it could prevent some major headaches down the road.
Absolutely. It helps everyone stay on the same page and avoid misunderstandings.
And is there anything specific it should cover?
Well, for example, it should clearly define whether your LLC will be member-managed, meaning everyone's actively involved in the day-to-day, or manager-managed, where certain members or even outside individuals are responsible for the management.
I see. So it kind of lays out the hierarchy and decision-making process.
Precisely.
And even though Michigan doesn't require it, why are the experts so adamant about having one?
Well, for one thing, a lot of banks will actually ask to see your operating agreement before they'll open a business bank account for you. Or if you're applying for a loan, they'll want to see it.
Oh, so it's not just a nice to have, it's often a must have.
Pretty much. Plus, it just makes good business sense to have everything clearly spelled out in writing, especially when you're dealing with multiple owners.
Good point. Now, do we have to create this operating agreement from scratch?
Nope. Plenty of free templates available online.
Oh, that's a relief. Where can we find those?
Legal websites, business resource websites, you'll find tons of them.
All right, so we've covered the operating agreement. What's next on our LLC checklist?
All right, this one's a bit more complex, but we need to talk about taxes. Specifically, how your LLC will be classified for tax purposes.
Taxes. Everyone's favorite topic.
Yeah, no, not the most exciting, but it's super important. So, by default, a single-member LLC is usually treated as a sole proprietorship for tax purposes, meaning the business income is reported on your personal tax return.
Okay, that makes sense.
And for multi-member LLCs, the default is usually a partnership, where the income is also passed through to the owners and reported on their individual returns.
So no separate tax return for the LLC itself.
Not in those cases, no. But here's the thing. You have options.
Options are always good.
You can elect to be taxed as an S corporation or a C corporation, if that makes more sense for your business.
So we have to choose how our LLC will be taxed.
Exactly.
And which option is best.
That depends on a lot of factors, like your business structure, your income, your long-term goals. It can get pretty complicated.
Sounds like we might need some expert advice here.
Definitely a good idea to talk to a tax professional. They can help you figure out the best strategy.
All right, and on to our final step.
The last hurdle.
This one's an ongoing requirement once your LLC is up and running.
Keep those forms coming,
It's called the annual report.
or sometimes called an annual statement.
It's basically an update you file with the state every year.
Keeps them in the loop.
The due date is February 15th each year.
Mark it on your calendar.
Except if you formed your LLC after September 30th, you get a little grace period. Your first report won't be due until the year after the following year.
Little bonus time.
The fee for the annual report is currently $25.
Not too bad.
And usually LIRA will send you a pre-printed form about 90 days before it's due.
So they remind you. All right, now that we've tackled all the steps for forming your LLC, let's talk about some important things to keep in mind once you're up and running.
Post-formation essentials.
Exactly. One of the biggest ones is keeping your personal and business finances completely separate.
Oh yeah, we hear about that a lot. Why is it so important?
Because if you start mixing your personal and business money, it can jeopardize the liability protection your LLC provides.
So, no using your personal credit card for business expenses?
Or dipping into your business account for personal stuff. Keep those lines crystal clear.
Separate bank accounts, separate credit cards, got it.
It's the best way to maintain that corporate veil.
What else should we be thinking about?
Building business credit. It's essential for getting loans or favorable terms with vendors.
Makes sense. How do we do that?
There are resources available, companies that specialize in helping businesses establish good credit.
We should do a deep dive on that sometime.
Definitely. And of course, business insurance.
Can't forget that.
It's crucial for protecting yourself from liabilities.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here today. Let's do a quick recap of the steps for creating an LLC in Michigan.
Right, recap time.
Step 1, choose your business name, making sure it meets all the state's requirements and is available.
Step 2, designate a resident agent, that person or entity who will be receiving all the important mail.
Step 3, file your articles of organization with LARA.
Step 4, Get your EIN from the IRS.
Step 5, though not required, strongly consider creating an LLC operating agreement.
Step 6, understand your options for tax classification.
And Step 7, remember to file your annual report every year.
It might seem overwhelming, but honestly, if you take it step by step, it's really not that bad.
Totally manageable.
And once you've got your LLC set up, you can focus on what really matters growing your business.
All right, one last thought before we wrap things up.
Now that you've got the legal framework in place, think about the possibilities.
Huh.
What's that one thing you can do today to move your business idea forward?
That's a great question.
Whether it's setting up your online store, creating a marketing plan, or even exploring online income streams like affiliate marketing. Having your LLC in place gives you that solid foundation to build on.
So take that first step.
And remember, this deep dive is here for you to refer back to as you go through the process.
Definitely.
And as always, when in doubt, consult with a legal or financial professional.
Great advice.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, we'd love for you to follow, like, and subscribe to The Deep Dive for more explorations of fascinating topics.
We're always looking for new ideas, so let us know what you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.